Okay, for this lesson, we are going to do what we call simplify complex fractions. You guys have learned so far how to add fractions, subtract them. You've learned how to multiply. You've learned how to divide. You've learned how to simplify. And you've learned how to solve with that equal sign. But now we are going to investigate complex fractions. Okay, this is something that you probably have not seen before. And this will take just a little bit of patience, okay? Couple days we're going to spend on it, introduce it now. Let's do a couple problems and move on from there. But tomorrow we will regroup with it. You will have at least one question like this on the test, if not two of them, okay? So we'll do our very best. A complex fraction is a fraction that has more than one fraction. How many fractions do you see in problem number 1? How many fractions do you see?
3.
Where do you see 3?
Well, like the one on top, the one on bottom, and then like just the whole thing. Fraction.
Exactly. Good job, London. I must have passed out some brain food. That was good. Yeah, I like that. Good. She's exactly right. Can everybody see those 3 fractions that I circled? So when there's more than one fraction, we cannot leave it expressed like that. This one works out rather nicely. We have a fraction over a fraction. And instead of dividing these 2 fractions, instead we multiply by the reciprocal. So I can write it as x plus 1 over x squared minus 1, and then multiply by x minus 1 over x. This turns into something that we've now seen before, right? We know how to multiply those expressions. I'm going to go ahead and look to factor ahead of time. I have an x plus 1 over x plus 1 times x minus 1. So I factored the bottom as the difference of 2 squares. I then have times x minus 1 over x. And as I look at this, I see that the x minus 1s will reduce and the x plus 1s reduce. And thus my answer is 1 over x. We okay with that? Now, what's nice about that problem is it's really not new. We've seen that before. I gave you that. So the problem you just did is the same as x plus 1 over x squared minus 1 divided by x over x minus 1. We've done that. We've done dividing. You multiply by the reciprocal. We've done that. But problem 2 you haven't seen yet. How many fractions do you see there? You could argue that you see 5. Watch this. 4 over 1 plus 1 over x over 5 over 1 plus 2 over x. Do you see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 fractions, and then 5th is the large one? Okay? So what we have to do in order to create it more like this is we need to make 1 fraction in the top and 1 fraction in the bottom. So your goal is always to do 1 fraction in the top and 1 fraction in the bottom. In order to add these fractions together, I need common denominators. Let's focus on the top first. What's going to be the common denominator? Just x. Yep, so I multiply the top and bottom by x. And if I do that, I get 4x plus 1 over the new denominator, x. Over, now let's focus on the bottom. What's going to be the common denominator in the bottom? X as well. So I multiply the top and bottom by x. As we do that, we get 5x plus 2 over x. Are we okay with that step? That's the new step. Now, after you've made one fraction, we, instead of dividing, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we no longer have 5x plus 2 over x. We have times x over 5x plus 2. And as you can see here, the x's are going to reduce. And I get 4x plus 1 divided by 5x plus 2. That's the simplified expression. This is going to take a little bit of practice, a little bit of rigor, a little bit of grit. That's where we're going to lean in. We're not going to do all of these problems today, okay? But we are going to do, two more, and then we'll pick up tomorrow with the other two and let people kind of catch up and work. Our steps for simplifying complex fractions are always the same. Number one, make one fraction in the top and bottom. Make one fraction in the top and the bottom. Our second step is to multiply by the reciprocal. And our third step is to simplify anything that cancels. That's what we'll do every single time. Okay, so we're going to try problem 3 and we're going to try problem 5. And then we're going to let you kind of get your feet wet. No new assignment tomorrow. We're going to kind of pick up with it. When I don't see a fraction for b or a, I'm going to write this as 1 over a minus b over 1. All over 1 over b minus a over 1. Let's focus in the top. What should be the common denominator for the top? A. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom here by a. And I get 1 minus b times a, or ab, over my new denominator a. That's my top. Now I'm going to look to the bottom. What should be the common denominator in the bottom? B times 1 is B. So I multiply that top and bottom by B, and I get 1 minus AB in this part, divided by B in this part. So my first step was to make one fraction the top, one fraction the bottom. What's my second step? Good, multiply by the reciprocal. So I have my 1 minus AB over A, and I multiply by B over 1 minus AB. Third step is to just simplify then whatever reduces. The 1 minus AB's reduce, and I get B divided by A. We're going to try one more. Let's move to number 5. I'm going to write this as 6 over 1 plus 10 over x minus 4. All over 8 over 1 plus 2 over x minus 4. What's going to be the common denominator for the top?
X minus 4.
So I multiply by x minus 4. Will everybody agree that for the bottom, the denominator is also x minus 4? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to distribute. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. But plus 10 is negative 14. I'll do that same step down here. I'm going to distribute the 8 to the x and to the 4, but then I'll add 2 onto it. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. Plus 2 is negative 30. I made one fraction in the top and the bottom. That's the big new step for today. Now we multiply by that reciprocal. So x minus 4 on top, 8x minus 30 on the bottom. Notice that the x minus 4's reduce. And so I have 6x minus 14 over 8x minus 30. Is that my final answer, or is there something more you can reduce? What could I factor out of the top and the bottom that's the same? Everything's divisible by 2. So if we factor a 2 out of the top, and we factor a 2 out of the bottom, notice that the 2's reduce. And so I get 3x minus 7 over 4x minus 15. That's not easy, but fortunately you're smart and we can definitely work through that. I think it would be very good of you at this time to look at problems 1 through 6, just that front part, and start working on some of those. See how they go for you. And then tomorrow we'll do a couple more examples and try to help you with the rest of your work, okay? Oh, sometimes when I post a video, I put a phrase at the end as like a reward. Do you think any of our kids that are missing, do you think they'll go back and watch a video?
No.
In case they do, should we put like a hidden phrase in there? Now, last time I did this, somebody told people what it was, even though they didn't watch the video. So is everybody here willing to be sworn to secrecy? What is the word?
Potato.
Potato. If somebody watches this video and sends me an email with the word potato, or comes up to me in class tomorrow, but you got to be the first one. First one, potato, you get your choice of a Little Debbie snack for me. There you go, potato.